Venture capital program is what I like to refer to as a multifaceted program. The Development Bank of Jamaica over the years has had a focus on providing debt capital to businesses, whether through directly or through what we call the approved financial institutions, the banks. So DBJ lends money to the banks, or in some instances to the microfinance institutions, and they provide debt capital to the businesses. What we recognize, however, is that there has been a gap in the financial landscape. So in as much as a number of SMEs are getting debt capital, what we find is that debt capital is really not appropriate for some companies, whether they're the startup companies or companies that are already over leveraged or don't have enough collateral. What they really need is a support, the patient capital that equity capital brings. Patient in that you don't have the monthly interest payments and obligations that you have with debt capital. So it gives the business a breathing space to be able to grow, to be able to expand. This is very important to have conferences for local as well as our international stakeholders to be able to network, to be able to share ideas, to share experiences. And we find that the conferences that we have had have been tremendous. We have had overseas investors, overseas stakeholders who have come to our conferences and who are now actively working along with some of our local entrepreneurs or our local fund managers. We've had overseas investors who now understand the potential that Jamaica has, and we're working closer and more closely with these overseas persons. So what we're doing with in our conferences is the interchange of ideas, the exposure of the Jamaican industry, the exposure of the Jamaican entrepreneurs. And we think it's a tremendous opportunity, not just for entrepreneurs, but for fund managers and for investors, for lawyers, for stakeholders, anybody who has an interest. A major thrust for us is actually getting members of the diaspora who have, for many years, have always indicated an interest in investing in Jamaican companies, whether through the angel investor network or through the funds that are being mobilized or just through mentorship. What we find is that our diaspora, many of whom actually work in the venture capital industry overseas, they're very interested in what we're doing here. They're very interested in taking part. So bringing together investors such as that in the conference creates a tremendous opportunity. We believe that the information that's going to be shared by our keynote speakers, by our panelists, by our moderators, we believe that some of that information is going to be very valuable to the stakeholders that actually attend the conference. Understanding not just the venture capital industry, but actually being able to carve out and understand just how they can carve out a niche in that industry. Another exciting outcome for our stakeholders is actually the networking opportunities. As I said, there are local and international stakeholders that will be at the conference, and being able to network, being able to, have a one-to-one conversation with someone who is operating with a fund or who is an investor who has invested in businesses, or an entrepreneur who has actually made it, is a tremendous opportunity to really speak directly with someone who has actually done it, and to get some ideas and to share ideas and to make some very valuable contacts. So we believe that it's a tremendous opportunity for persons to actually come to the conference, and we believe that they're going to actually leave there a lot richer in knowledge than when they stepped in.